The battlefield trembled with the thunder of marching feet, but amid the clashing swords and the roaring banners, one man stood out, not for his noble blood, but for the audacity that carried him from obscurity to the pinnacle of power. He was no samurai by birth, no heir of great lineage. He was a peasant, the son of a foot soldier, and yet he would rise to command the destiny of an entire nation. His name was Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and his story is the greatest rags-to-riches tale in Japanese history. Hideyoshi's life is a saga of ambition and cunning, of genius and ruthlessness. He began with nothing, not wealth, not status, not even the right to carry a family crest, and yet he climbed the violent ladder of the Sengoku period to stand as the second of Japan's three great unifiers, following Oda Nobunaga and preceding Tokugawa Ieyasu. His rise defied every convention of his age, breaking the rigid class system that confined most men to their birth. He was the master of opportunity, the man who could turn loyalty into a weapon, diplomacy into armor, and ambition into empire. His reign was brilliant but flawed, marked by grand castles, sweeping reforms, and failed invasions abroad. But whether adored or despised, Hideyoshi remains one of the most extraordinary figures in Japanese history. Toyotomi. Hideyoshi was born in 1537 in Nakamura, a small village in Owari Province. His father, Kinoshita Yaemon, was a low-ranking ashigaru, foot soldier, for the Oda clan. Unlike most of the great figures of the Sengoku era, Hideyoshi came into the world with nothing, no land, no title, no samurai blood. His childhood name was Hiyoshi Maru, a name that carried no weight in the halls of power. After his father's death when he was young, Hideyoshi's mother remarried, leaving him to wander restlessly. He had no inheritance, no place among the warrior elite. He worked odd jobs, spent time among peasants, and drifted between villages. His restless energy marked him even then. He was ambitious, quick-witted, and utterly unwilling to accept the limits that society imposed on him. As a teenager, Hideyoshi sought his fortune by joining the Oda clan, then led by the fiery young warlord Oda Nobunaga. He began not as a warrior, but as a sandal-bearer, tasked with carrying his master's footwear. It might have seemed a humiliating post, but Hideyoshi's sharp mind and boundless resourcefulness quickly distinguished him. He earned the trust of Nobunaga not through swordplay, but through loyalty, cleverness, and his uncanny ability to get things done. He could negotiate, build, plan, and improvise in ways that others could not. Nobunaga, who valued talent over pedigree, saw potential in this peasant-turned-servant. Where other lords would have dismissed him, Nobunaga promoted him. Step by step, Hideyoshi climbed the ranks. One of Hideyoshi's earliest displays of brilliance was his skill in construction and logistics. He organized the building of fortifications with astonishing speed, often completing castles in days rather than months. His work on Tsunemata Castle became legendary. According to accounts, he supervised the construction of a fortress overnight, assembling prefabricated materials in enemy territory so quickly that it appeared to have risen magically. This feat earned him the nickname Monkey from Nobunaga, who teased him for his wiry frame and boundless energy. Hideyoshi embraced the insult, knowing that even a monkey could climb where others could not. By the 1560s, Hideyoshi was no longer just a servant, he was a trusted general. He led armies in Nobunaga's campaigns, proving himself not only as a strategist, but also as a master of diplomacy. Unlike many warlords, who relied solely on the sword, Hideyoshi was skilled at persuading enemies to defect, turning rivals into allies. His talent for negotiation saved lives and expanded Nobunaga's power without constant bloodshed. He understood people, their weaknesses and desires, and he exploited that knowledge with ruthless precision. In 1582, Nobunaga's meteoric rise came to a sudden end at Honnoji when he was betrayed by his general, Akechi Mitsuhide. Trapped in flames, Nobunaga took his own life. For Hideyoshi, the loss was devastating, but also an opportunity. He wasted no time. Immediately upon hearing the news, he secured peace with a rival clan. then turned his army against Mitsuhide. At the Battle of Yamazaki, Hideyoshi crushed the traitor and avenged his fallen master. The speed of his actions stunned Japan. Nobunaga was dead, but Hideyoshi was already stepping into his place. After Nobunaga's death, the question of succession tore the Oda clan apart. Hideyoshi maneuvered carefully, supporting Nobunaga's young heir while consolidating his own authority. He outmaneuvered rivals in both politics and battle, gaining more territory and vassals. By 1583, at the Battle of Shizugatake, Hideyoshi decisively defeated Shibata Katsuie, another of Nobunaga's generals, cementing his control. Victory after victory followed, and daimyo who had once scoffed at his peasant origins now bowed before him. In a rigidly hierarchical society, Hideyoshi had done the unthinkable. He had risen from sandals to samurai armor, from peasant obscurity to the halls of power. Hideyoshi's greatest campaign came in 1590 against the powerful Hojo clan of Odawara. The Hojo were entrenched in their mighty castle, seemingly impregnable, but Hideyoshi understood that war was not always won by blood. He surrounded the castle with overwhelming numbers and cut off supplies, building fortifications of his own to choke the enemy. His siege dragged on, breaking the Hojo's spirit. In the end, the Hojo surrendered without a final battle. With their fall, Hideyoshi had unified most of Japan under his banner. From a peasant with no name, he had become the undisputed ruler of the nation. Though he could never claim the title of shogun due to his low birth, Hideyoshi was granted the title of Kampaku, or imperial regent. It was a title of immense prestige, and it gave him the authority to rule in the emperor's name. As ruler, Hideyoshi focused on consolidating his control. He introduced sweeping reforms. He ordered a sword hunt, disarming peasants to prevent rebellion. He solidified the rigid social hierarchy of samurai, farmers, artisans, and merchants. He implemented land surveys, increasing tax efficiency and state control. These reforms ensured stability, but also froze social mobility, cementing divisions that lasted for centuries. Flush with success at home, Hideyoshi's ambition turned outward. In 1592, he launched an invasion of Korea, hoping to use it as a springboard to conquer China. His armies, well-armed and disciplined, swept across the peninsula at first, seizing territory and shocking the Korean defenders. But resistance stiffened. Korean naval forces, under Admiral Yi Sun-sin, cut supply lines. Chinese forces intervened. The invasion dragged on, draining resources. Hideyoshi launched a second invasion in 1597, but it too faltered. The dream of conquering the continent collapsed. By the late 1590s, Hideyoshi was aging and ill. His Korean campaigns had weakened his position, and rivals began to circle. In 1598, on his deathbed, he entrusted his infant son, Hideyori, to a council of regents led by Tokugawa Ieyasu. But Hideyoshi's greatest fear was realized. His son was too young to rule, and his chosen guardians had ambitions of their own. Hideyoshi died at the age of 62, leaving behind both a unified Japan and a fragile legacy. Facts about Toyotomi Hideyoshi. He was born a peasant, making him the only one of Japan's great unifiers without samurai blood. His childhood nickname was Monkey, given by Oda Nobunaga. Hideyoshi banned peasants from owning swords in the famous sword hunt of 1588. He built the magnificent Osaka Castle, one of Japan's greatest fortresses. Despite his power, he could never claim the title of shogun due to his birth. He was fascinated by tea culture and was a patron of the famous tea master Sen no Rikyu. Hideyoshi enforced strict social classes, preventing upward mobility. His Korean campaigns were among the largest overseas invasions in Japanese history. He adored luxury and filled his palaces with gold. Hideyoshi's policies set the stage for the stability of the Tokugawa shogunate. Toyotomi. Hideyoshi's life is one of the most extraordinary in history. He began as a barefoot child in a peasant village, carrying sandals for samurai. He rose through wit, loyalty, and audacity, seizing opportunities that others missed. He became the ruler of a nation, shaping policies and institutions that endured long after his death. Though his dream of conquering Korea failed, his dream of unifying Japan was realized. He proved that destiny was not written in bloodlines, but in courage, vision, and will. Hideyoshi's story is not only the story of a man, but of possibility itself. That from nothing, greatness can be forged. That from humble beginnings, history can be changed. He remains an enduring symbol of ambition, reminding us that no barrier is too high for those who dare to climb.